Hey everyone, it's Medic McFly here. It's 5:13 and it's time to go in for my shift. The next 48 hours are going to be exciting, but let's start making our way. A, because it's an hour-long commute, and B, my wife and the in-laws are still asleep. One of the downsides is still having to live with them for this time being. But let's get to it. Say hi, Reggie. No? Don't say hi? Well, food is priority. Bella might say hi. Say hi, Bella. I'll see you in the next 48 hours Saturday morning. Paramedic 49, which is X-ray 4 here in Quincy. So it's funny because these trucks have a police call number, X-ray 4. We also have a primary dispatch call number, Paramedic 49. Here it is, the back of our beautiful ambulance here. And this is our heart monitor here. It's the Zoll X series. It's one of the newer versions, and I, for one, like it very much. But we use it for patients who have cardiac conditions, who need ECGs done, or for those patients who have an irregular heart rhythm or an arrhythmia that we need to shock to bring back into alignment. And we hear about it often with cardiac arrest. Early shock equals early survival. So there you have it. All sorts of funky stuff. My favorite feature of the Zoll X series, you can measure carbon dioxide coming out of the patient when they breathe, and that can help assess if we have artificial airway in place, like a breathing tube, and we want to ensure that it's in the correct place inside their mouth, in their trachea. You can also assess what they're breathing out through their nose and mouth, and that can help assess shock, sepsis, if a patient's having an asthma or COPD exacerbation, and it can give us guidance on how to treat them. So that's why I love it. Behind me is our IV kit. And I think we need to clean it up here. Sometimes people like to put their foamy things from the occlusive dressings on here. But we always have a variety of occlusive dressings. From the big, huge ones here, 16 gauges. You can have a 14 gauge here. I've only used them a 14 gauge 3 or 4 times in my career. Yeah, we don't want to use them unless it's an absolute bad situation. Most of the time we use the pink and the green catheters, the 20 and 18 gauges. So if you need to have medications or blood drawn, we'll use those. So this here is our first in bag, our go bag. So whenever we go on scene, we want to have something to go through. Don't mind this yellow pouch. This comes out at this end here. And we're going to go through it right now. There's some more IV stuff in here, but one of the cool things I want to show you is this drill here. This is an easy IO drill, and these are for the patients who are in deep distress, who we can't get an IV on. Here. There's a bit right here, and what we use with it is a certain type of needle. Here's a yellow one, and this goes into the bone of either their leg or their arm. Now you might say, oh my goodness, that's gruesome. Well, yeah, it's not something you want to do routinely, but if you're severely injured or ill and we need to gain access to give you medications and fluid and blood, and we're forced to act, we're not going to try 10 times to get an IV on you. We're just going to go to put this drill bit in, this needle, for the IO. We call it intraosseous. The next bag we have here in our first in bag is the adult intubation bag, and this is the oh dear bag, in my opinion. And this is the bag we utilize when you can't breathe any longer and you're going to need airway management. You can't protect your airway. So here are some laryngoscope blades, and there's the handle. What ends up happening is we take one of these blades here with the handle, and put it in your mouth. You're unconscious, place a tube, a breathing tube, such as this one right here, through your vocal cords into your lungs. All right, so typically when we take this out, it's a bad deal. You're in trouble. Most of the time we will utilize on cardiac arrests, respiratory arrests, severe overdoses, strokes, and so forth. This is my favorite tool in the intubation roll. It's a gum bougie. It's basically a curved rod with a little stylet, not stylet, but like a hockey stick end almost at the end of it. And that can help us direct the tube through your vocal cords. What we do is we place it in the mouth and through the vocal cords, and then we place the tube over it. We place it through, or what's a better word to think of it? Well, we essentially draw it over the bougie. So it's a guide to get the breathing tube where it needs to go. And so this is probably the most controversial aspect of paramedicine, intubation. Oftentimes it can be considered futile. It doesn't make a big difference in patient outcomes. There's a lot of research saying that maybe we should use alternative methods instead, and that maybe paramedics aren't that good at it, or that we don't do enough training on it. I mean, you can graduate paramedic school now in 2022 without ever doing a live intubation on a patient, and that's just scary. Talk about the uh-oh kit, the oh dear kit. This is a decompression needle, and we're not starting IVs with it. This 14 gauge needle is designed to go through your chest, through between the ribs, and into the pleural space should a patient develop a pneumothorax, a tension pneumothorax, specifically where they sustain an injury, broken ribs, a stab wound, burst bleb in their lung, and air starts to push the lung and collapse it, and we need to reinflate it by essentially manifesting a negative pressure design of the chest and release air from that built up site to reinflate the lung. I say reinflate because we're not actually pushing air into the lung, rather we're giving it space to expand. And again, you might say, oh my goodness, a needle through the ribs in your chest and into your pleural cavity, that sounds gruesome. Well, yes, but if we have to do it, we have to do it, and it's a lifesaver. This will be the last one. McGill forceps. Utilize them to help remove foreign objects that get stuck in your throat. Choking victims who are unconscious. The Heimlich maneuver doesn't work and they're unconscious. We will utilize this to help pull it out. Don't mind the radio in the background. That's just the police talking here. Hey again, everyone. So it's 1:42 right now. It was a routine morning getting the truck ready. We also have a student here today, and so I've been helping him out, learning some of the medications and acclimating him to the truck, which is nice. But then we had an array of calls. Well, actually, before that, we had to go to our headquarter base in the town over to get one of our back doors here was stuck. It's where we keep our backboards and all that. I'll show you where it was. Well, where it is, and it's fixed now. So we had to go and get that repaired by our fleet team. And then after that, we had two back-to-back calls, two patients, both trauma patients, one with a head injury and also a pretty interesting eye injury. They had a hematoma in their left eye, so we want to go to the trauma center for that and see if they can see both the trauma team to rule out any possible head injury, and if they have one, help treat it, as well as an eye injury. Those are sensitive, and we always worry about sensitive body parts like the eye and worry about the effects of permanent vision loss. And the second one was a car accident we had up the street here. We also took a patient to the local trauma center because she exacerbated her back pain, real severe. And so I like those calls because that's where a patient's chronic standing illness can collide with an acute event and make it complicated. The thing is, it keeps me busy. I'm down 2 charts. I got to finish documenting the medications. I'll show you those as well because we carry a lot of them. Granted, we are 8 hours into this shift right now. It's 3:15, but that's what happens. You get calls. You have to check out the entire truck, and it takes time to check out all these drugs here. Here's our narcotics we carry. We carry fentanyl for pain management. We also carry Versed for those who are having a seizure or who might be experiencing a behavioral emergency and need to be chemically restrained for their safety and the safety of those taking care of them. And then we have a wide array of other drugs in here. So lo and behold, we carry adenosine, diltiazem, we carry amiodarone and lidocaine for our cardiac patients who are experiencing arrhythmias. We carry a drug called epinephrine. Some of you may know it as adrenaline. And those big boxes right there those help start your heart up again if your heart has stopped and you're in cardiac arrest. So it's there to help. We have a few other items in here. We noticed that, you may have heard that EpiPens are becoming quite expensive. And so my EMS agency has transitioned to an EpiPen replacement check and inject kit, as we call it, check and inject. What it is we utilize a syringe here to draw up a certain amount of epinephrine in this vial, adrenaline. We give an injection to someone's arm, and it has the same effects as an EpiPen. It helps reduce their allergic reaction. It can be a lifesaver at a cost of less than $15 a vial, depending on what the price of Epi's going. So it's a pretty good replacement to the traditional EpiPen. Some of you might recognize this little medication here, Narcan, to help reverse those opioid overdoses. Became very prominent during the opioid pandemic, where it became a lifesaver for many patients who were victims of drug addiction. But we also carry it in vial form, so you can give naloxone through a nasal injector, or we can give it to an IV as well. I'm back here doing patient charting in the front passenger seat of the ambulance, just waiting for the next call, but enjoying this reprieve. Afternoons can be rough because you start to get that post-lunch carb crash. You get to battle through it. In the past, this would be a time for me to utilize an energy drink, 5-Hour Energy, C4. Yes, that is right. I did use pre-workout for a period of time to harness energy. But luckily, they invented C4 for the brain energy. And that has had some positive impacts on me. So if I need energy, it's either black coffee, C4 for brain, or a 5-Hour Energy. None of this sugary nonsense. We did 3 transports today. The other patient trauma was the theme today. Other patient had an injury from work. So again, it was another trip to the trauma center. Without divulging too much, they're probably all going to be okay. But trauma is an interesting part of medicine, and it's definitely an inspirational one for me to take part in healthcare. It's sort of when I wake up in the morning to make a positive impact during their families' time of dire need. So, a well-deserved day. But still, it's hour 13 of 49. I guess if you want to call it 49 hours straight. I get an hour off tomorrow between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Granted, I have to use that time to drive from one base to the other to go to the north unit. So today I'm on the west unit. Tomorrow I go to the south side, which is probably the busiest district in Quincy. And that'll be at 7 a.m., so up and at 'em early. I'm hoping to get at least 2 hours of sleep would be nice. 3 is better. 4, it's most efficient. But there are some nights we get more than that. Some nights we get 5, 6, 7, 8. I think the record's 9. I think that was like Thanksgiving or something like that. Like nothing happened. But there are some nights where we do not get any sleep. I'm hoping that's not the case tonight. Finally, an opportunity to get some sleep. Hopefully we can at least get a few hours. But you never know. It's about 9:30. You just never know how this will go.